Good morning. So I thought I'd give you guys a little update on the great pool renovation project, well, gardens renovation project that I've been sort of talking about in a lot of my videos, sort of refreshing and redoing some things around the pool. And one of the things I've talked about probably ad nauseum are these dogwoods. This is Midwinter fire. And in a second, I'm going to walk you down this area and you can see just sort of the lay of the land here. But these shrubs were planted here so that I could have the beautiful color. They have their stems, midwinter fire, and I'll come in closer with the camera in a second. Their stems just light up. They start sort of yellow at the bottom, and then they get kind of orangey and redder as you get toward the top. And they do that pretty well in full sun. And so this is a full sun garden. And I thought in the wintertime, because our pool is something we see right outside my kitchen window, that to have these along the fence would look just stunning. And so I thought it would look spectacular to have that colored foliage up against the big expanse of this fence. So anyway, I planted these maybe 2 or 3 years ago, and I'm gonna walk down and show you where they are in a second, like I said. But anyway, what used to be here is junipers. So these junipers that we bought way back in the day when we first did the pool, there was a stockade fence here, wood stockade fence, and I did not want to garden in the pool area. I wanted to be out here with my kids and not have the kids worry about anything when they were playing basketball or in the pool or goofing around with their friends or anything. So along this side was just gravel on the top, like not pea stone, bigger than that, but rocks, and then juniper bushes every so many feet. And those juniper bushes that were supposed to get about 3 to 4 feet high were at minimum 8 feet, coming out over the path all the time. They got massive, and no matter how I pruned them, they just got bigger and bigger and bigger. They were just so in the way. They were uncomfortable to touch against. If a ball rolled over here, you would have to, in your bathing suit, brush up against that prickly foliage. The one good thing about them is they had beautiful berries that the cedar waxwings loved. So when the berries were out and we got the flocks of cedar waxwings, that was amazing. But other than that, they were just awful. So anyway, my nephew and I took them out one summer, and it was so hot. I remember us cutting them down, and we burned them, and we left the stumps in the ground. And I figured I would just plant around them and everything would be fine. So I put these dogwoods in. Can't remember when I did it, how I did it. I have absolutely no recollection of these dogwoods going in the ground. But since then, they've been struggling, and you can see how yellow the leaves are on the bottom of this one. And they have not been doing well. They have been suffering horribly. And I've been trying to figure out the cause of it, racking my horticultural brain. I added iron to see if that was the problem. I was just about toying with doing a full-on soil test to figure out what was in here. Maybe the pH somehow got really bad with the changes from the juniper breaking down, or the roots doing something in the soil, or so anyway, I was just trying to figure out what was going on when I decided that I would take them out, replace them with something else, and maybe leave one of them or two of them, but replace them and see if we could come up with a better solution. The sad part of that story is I recommend dogwood to people all the time. This shrub is so easy to take care of. It should survive pretty much anywhere. You should be able to have dogwood in any kind of soil conditions. They're very flexible about sandy soil, which we have. They do like a little bit of water, this variety I had heard, so I've been trying to water them better. But the other ones, this Cornus that I have everywhere in the yard, they do fantastic in the worst conditions that I have. So this is a plant that I recommend for people that have wet, boggy soils, dry soils, every kind of soil. Guess what? The problem was they weren't growing in soil. So I'm going to show you now what the problem was and what I'm doing to solve it. And I'm going to go grab the camera. And okay, so like I said, I came in here. First thing I noticed, I don't mulch in here every year. There's just a little bit of mulch on the top, and that's just basically for looks because of the pool. I don't want it getting into the pool. But this mulch had hardened into a solid layer of impenetrable. I can't even believe I let it go. And I'm going to defend myself by saying that we had a lot going on this year. We had a garden conservancy tour, and there were so many of the areas of the garden that needed some serious attention. And this area kind of looked good enough, so I really didn't come in here, and I didn't see how bad it was. And again, didn't put a shovel into the ground to see what was going on. So I decided that what I was going to do, now I'm going to show you down the fence. So from this side, and you can see there's one of the dogwoods there. There's a hole there. I actually had taken one out, and regrettably I threw it in the compost pile. I wish I hadn't now, but I did. So there was one there. There's another one here. And lavender, you can see, is doing fantastic here. So that should have been a clue what was going on. That's an area that I also dug up right there because there's going to be a shrub there. So here's one here. And this is, I'm going to talk about this shrub in a second. This is what we're going to be working into this area, this new Weigela. And there's one more dogwood here. So this goes down the whole entire side of this fence. And if you look at this, I'm going to show you what I was hoping to see against the fence was this beautiful bark color, the twig color. And you can see even now that even though these shrubs were near death, they still had some of that. But as I was complaining to my husband the other day about, just going on and on about how the bark color wasn't vibrant, the shrubs were just miserable, and just going over my head, I thought, well, I should be able to figure this out. So I came out here and I said, well, either they're coming out or I'm going to figure it out. So I dug down, and now I'm going to walk down back to the one that is way on the end over here. I dug down to dig out. Oh, that's one of the bowls I use for my containers. It needs to be washed. That's why it's there. I apologize for that disgusting mess. This is what they were growing in. Now, I hope that you can see that this is sand and gravel. There's not one speck of anything in there that even remotely looks like any kind of soil. It is straight up gravel and sand. There's no way a drop of water could get held in that. There's no way a nutrient could get held in that. It is straight up. Hi, Georgia. Georgia came over to see. Do you see that, Georgia? I know, I'm a terrible gardener. It is straight up sand and gravel. It's not yummy, Georgia. Anyway, this is what these dogwoods were planted in. So now, instead of being mad at the dogwoods, I'm astounded that they're all still alive. And I can't believe, and again, this is a plant that I recommend to people to grow in the harshest of conditions. If you have a trouble spot, a dogwood shrub is usually an answer. So I dug out, this one I actually moved, but the rest of them I dug out all around them. I'll go into this one, and you can see I dug out of the ground and I replaced them all with compost around the whole plant. So I dug out the whole area around every one of these shrubs, and I replaced everything in there with just straight compost. I actually mixed it in a little bit, so they are now living in just amended sand, like everything else is growing here in amended sand. So I got all the gravel out, and I just added in the compost and mixed it in, and I've been giving them some hand watering now until they settle back in. And already, look at the difference. Look at that new growth on the top. It's exactly what it should be. It's beautiful. The stem color is good. The leaf color is good. So these dogwoods are now throwing out all new growth because they are such spectacular plants. Some of them are even flowering, but I'll probably break the flowers off so they don't get stressed anymore. So now the plan is in this space right here. So here's one of the first dogwood on the end. And then there'll be a weigela in here, and it's called Midnight Sun. I'm going to get down there and show it to you. I'm also adding in, incorporating more of this yucca throughout this planting, this color guard that grows down the other end. So anyway, there'll be a weigela here. This dogwood with its beautiful amended soil. Look at the new growth on that. Amazing. So they're rebounding so fast, I can't even tell you. There'll be another weigela Midnight Sun in there, then a dogwood here. And now let's look at this beautiful plant. Look at the foliage on that. This is a plant I grow a number of. I probably have maybe 8 or more varieties of this in my garden. And I love the variegated ones. And this one, the colors. The only problem with this, we had toyed with making this the only shrub in this area, but this only gets to be about 1.5 feet tall and wide. It is not big. It is very small. So they'll be perfect in here as little accents. And the dogwoods will actually get, well, they'll get as big as I let them, because honestly, I'm going to cut them back when you don't prune them back. And I'm going to try and come in here so you can see, poor things. That color right there, that sort of tannish color, the older stems will get to be. So you just want to always cut them back pretty routinely so you get fresh new growth, because that's where you're going to get the best color. So these are actually will be cut down as soon as, I don't want to cut them down until they've gotten themselves settled into their new compost and are happy. So they'll be cut all the time to maintain the best coloring. But look at this one even. My goodness. It is going to bounce back like nothing ever happened. So after living for a couple of years in gravel, they now have some soil, and then hopefully this winter I'll be taking some video of how beautiful that colored twig and bark is against my fence. And I ordered more of these from Proven Winners Direct. I got this one from a local nursery. They only had one. So I ordered them from Proven Winners, and they'll be here next week. The other good thing that happened when I was come back over here to finally give this bed some attention is, well, you'll notice one piece right here of the stumps. The juniper stumps had finally rotted enough that I could take them all out. So they had been sort of underground here, sort of buried in mulch, and I was able to take all of them out. And I'll show you a picture after I finish out here in the pool area of where they ended up, because I actually like the look of a stump. Look how happy that is on the top new growth. So thrilled that we're not having to replace all these, and we might have that actual look I was going for in the wintertime. All right, so that's the saga of the pool area dogwoods, and a lesson that sometimes it's the most basic thing that's the problem. Okay, so here are my juniper stumps that I pulled out of the ground. So this area is just in the process. This is part of our back garden that we're making. We're making a little woodland garden. I just started planting in here. And so I'm going to, now that I've gotten these stumps placed, I'm going to be transplanting a ton of ferns in and around them. So when this garden is done, there'll be ferns growing up around the juniper stumps. So that's the plan, and I'll update you after I get that done. But I'm going to transplant. We're getting a little tiny bit of rain. We've had no rain for I don't even know how many days. We're getting a little bit tomorrow, so that should help this ground a little bit and soften up. And I'm going to be transplanting ferns from other areas of the garden and hoping we get some rain because there is no way to water back here. It's too far from any irrigation. So look into the back area. I don't know if you can see where those big hostas are. That's the beginning of our little woodland garden we've been working on. As I walk back into the house from today's chores, I just want to take a second of appreciation for this little area we redid earlier this summer, and the container that's looking so fantastic. All right, happy gardening.